Ethnic Armenians fleeing Nagorno-Karabakh after the Azeri takeover have told DW they feared being killed if they'd stayed. More than 70,000 people have left. That's more than half the enclave's population. The territory's leader says it will cease to exist as a standalone entity by the end of the year, giving up any hope of independence from Azerbaijan or being joined to Armenia. Our correspondent Maria Katamadze sent this report from the Armenian border town of Goris.
Cars stuffed with piles of belongings arriving in Armenia. Each day the number of refugees grows, leaving Nagorno-Karabakh increasingly empty. When Azerbaijan took control of Nagorno-Karabakh last week, most of the ethnic Armenians decided to leave their homes. They believed they were in danger of extermination, despite Azerbaijan's assurances of their safety. Thousands of new arrivals reach Goris, the first city over the border. This is the first place they can get help and shelter. They share the hardships they went through to get here.
We spent 3 days in traffic. It was a difficult trip. It was a very difficult moment for us to leave our town and our home.
Inside of 3 years, I've lost 2 homes. My 4 young children have heard so many shells and missiles. They cried so much. It affected them psychologically. I just wish my kids had a safe place and went to school like other children.
Armenian city Goris, which is 50 kilometers away from the border, has become a humanitarian hub for ethnic Armenians fleeing Nagorno-Karabakh. Thousands of refugees have been arriving at Goris theater, where they're being registered, where the first medical and psychological help is being provided by the volunteers. International organizations have been working here non-stop, as well as the whole city, to provide the refugees with all the necessary. Volunteers in makeshift tents feed people with sandwiches, sweets and tea, things they were deprived of for a long time. The volunteers also say housing all the refugees will be an issue for a small country like Armenia.
I think the most pressing thing seems to be accommodation. There's just it's an overwhelming amount of people, so the country entirely, the system wasn't really prepared to take on this many people, I think.
The hospitality of individual Armenians toward their fellow compatriots eases the burden. The refugees say they feel welcomed. Locals come here to help with whatever they can.
Our town is supporting people, especially kids. The locals are doing whatever they can. They provide shelter and feed them. Our town can do this.
Some refugees have been in Goris for a few days, sleeping in their cars, waiting to register. Some plan to go to the capital city of Yerevan and live with their relatives. Others say they have no one to go to. All of them are overwhelmed by the uncertainty of their future.
A report from Maria Katamadze in the Armenian town of Goris. I'm happy to say that Maria joins us now. Welcome, Maria. We've just seen locals and volunteers welcoming refugees, but what's the Armenian government doing?
Well, Phil, just keep in mind that Armenia is a very small country of about 3 million people that lives here, and the amount of the refugees today reached 85,000 already and is expected to grow. So we are talking about potential 100,000 of people, of ethnic Armenians arriving in Armenia, and obviously it's already an internal crisis for Armenia. The government is providing the housing. However, just 10%, around 10% of the refugees have received that opportunity. Here in Goris, we've seen the hotels that are just full of refugees, and the government is obviously paying for the meals and for their stay there. We've also heard from the government that they're going to be paying around 250 euros as a social allowance to the refugees. But what's also important, and that what we are seeing here in Goris, is that the amount of help that the locals and Armenian diaspora, for instance, is doing for refugees is just astonishing. People from all over the world flew here. We've seen people, Armenians from Australia, from France, that came here to help their people. So yes, we've been seeing a very united effort, both from the government and from locals and volunteers that are here to help.
And so what does it mean for Armenians to see their compatriots forced to leave their homes in this way?
Well, from what we're hearing from people in Yerevan and also here, they are saying that it's a national tragedy for them. That's a defeat, and that's a very, very dire situation, because thousands are arriving here and they need help. They don't have much, money to live here in Armenia, even though they are being greeted here from the locals. But still, it's a very, very problematic situation here. People sometimes they tell me that they don't have nowhere to go, and they're just waiting for their housing, and some are telling me that they're going to go to their relatives. Some are planning to go to Russia and or to the capital city of Yerevan and find a new job and start rebuilding their lives.
And what of Nagorno-Karabakh itself, now more than half empty? What does Azerbaijan plan to do with this half-empty mountainous region?
Keep in mind that the past few days has been a victorious, victorious days for government in Baku. They are very happy that they, obviously, that they reclaimed their territory that is internationally recognized as Azerbaijan, and also there are some reports and some suggestions from the analysts in Baku that Aliyev, the president of Azerbaijan, is going to inject lots of money into Karabakh, because keep in mind that this region has been in war for decades, for 30 years, and some areas have to be rebuilt. So probably we should expect lots of money coming from Baku, and that will help rebuild the affected area. But also there are refugees, Azeri refugees, that had to flee Nagorno-Karabakh back in the 90s, and some of them, for obvious reasons, they're expecting to return to their homes that they left decades ago.
Thank you for that, Maria. Maria Katamadze in Goris in Armenia.